The older I get, the faster I was. And I believe I get a little bit more intelligent. At least that's what I want to tell myself as the days click on by. I really think that Supercross and motocross and just dirt bikes in general have become so much more professional that just the amount of sheer effort, you're not able to just party on the weekends and show up and win just because of talent anymore. You gotta have a program behind it. Even the amateurs are really not amateurs anymore. They are full-time professionals because there's places like Club MX, you've got Renner's facility, you got Millsap's facility. In order to be successful, you have to dedicate your entire life to racing motorcycles, and you have to give up high school and almost school in general. You have to be homeschooled. And I'm saying that as have to, when in reality, yes, there's always going to be the rule and the exception, but the rule is you have to go all in. And that's what so many riders have done. It's not a coincidence that you've got Stewart, Tomac, Anderson, Sexton, all these guys racing at the elite level together. They've been racing with each other for 20 plus years because they're the ones that have changed how the sport is raising professionals. And we have Ricky Carmichael that came in and started bringing guys from cycling, aka Alden Baker, to come in to elevate the training program. Carmichael's even said that he wasn't the most talented rider, but he put in the most work. Nobody could outwork him. And that is a skill. However, if you've heard me say in some of my live streams before, the work is the easy part. It's all the other stuff now that you have to check off. You have to be in the right place at the right time with the right opportunity. You got to have a good program. You can't overtrain, get something like Epstein-Barr, etc. We see so many guys getting down from that. And my segue is you've got so many riders during practice hurting themselves because they feel the need to practice as hard as they race. And if we look at all other endurance sports, that is not how they train. You have literally science and psychology behind that's not a good idea. You've got riders like Malcolm, Marv, Hartraft. I mean, that was a bike malfunction. Joe Shimoda, Marchbanks. There's so many fill-ins because of riders going down in practice. Why is that? Are they overtraining and riding too fast? And I'm asking the question, there's variables involved because of the distance. However, the distance in motorcycle racing is you're talking like 37, 40 weeks out of a 52-week year, you're racing. You cannot peak every single race. It's impossible, no matter how much supplements or other things that you're using. Even if you are using performance-enhancing drugs, the moment you get off of it, your adrenal system is going to be so fatigued that it's just going to crash. And you're going to be in the space of an Epstein-Barr or some sort of overtraining effect where the body literally is so stressed out that it can't function for an extended period of time. And I'm getting to my point. My point is a lot of endurance athletes are now doing this 80-20 training where they're training 80% of the time at low intensity. I'm talking about like zone 2 of the heart rate. Yes, getting on a dirt bike, if you wear a heart rate monitor, you know you're instantly 160, 170, 180. If you're racing, you're 190, 200, boom, right? But I'm saying if you can, we've all heard the saying before, slow down to go fast. If you literally had a heart rate monitor to tell you to slow the F down, you could practice on technique. And over time, you could build an aerobic system that is going faster and faster and faster to where some of your sprints are now your state of in control where you're not going to get injured. The sport is incredibly dangerous. Let's save the super intense for the racing. Let's make sure that we get hurt in front of the crowd, not where there's no cameras being seen. Because even as a rider, a highlight reel of you going down like a McAdoo or something is in a roundabout way going to add into the persona of that rider. People can build a story off of that rider because of that gnarly crash. And what I mean by 80-20 is I'm not saying every time you're never going to do sprints anymore. I'm just suggesting that if you go ride 5 times a week, 4 of those times you're doing low intensity drill work. You're not really pushing yourself. You're like, all right, I'm going to just practice, just flow. Going to make sure that I'm in control. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Then one day out of the week, you're going to do a small race pace. You're going to do some sprints, but it's going to make you want to do that as well. Because what I fucked up as a kid coming up is I always felt like every day I had to do one thing that scared me. And then I would ride 7 days a week later on as I was turning pro, and I was constantly hurt. And I always got hurt practicing. It wasn't even at the races. And an ACL, a clavicle surgery, I mean, all that stuff. It's like, okay, here's 3 months, here's 6 months, here's 9 months, here's a year that I'm wasting just because I was pushing myself too far. And then even when I wasn't hurt, I was overtraining so that by the time I showed up at the race, I was tired. I was not ready to have my best performance. That's why, as a grown man that has been out of it for a few years, I'm not trying to be a privateer anymore. There's certain reasons to that. But my point is, if you slow down to go fast, you can get faster and it'll be more progressive because you're going to outbeat the dude that is pushing it every weekend because you're going to feel good on the weekends, and there's a good chance that he's going to get injured and he's going to have to start back over from ground zero, where you just slowly have an increase continuing up. And it should be really no longer than about a 24-week cycle for you to prep before you take a few weeks off. And after you take a few weeks off, yes, you're going to lose some endurance, but your body is going to build back up, and now you're going to start from an even higher base, as opposed to a guy that's push, tanks his aerobic system, and then gets hurt, and now he's way below zero. I'm just asking the question that I think that there needs to be a change of pace, especially with the privateers, because there's professionals out there that are paying 6 figures to have coaches and have smart people behind them to test lactic threshold and VO2 max and blood levels and cortisol and all this stuff to make sure that they are ready to perform. A privateer does not have that. We just think that we need to bang our head against the wall until we go faster. And that is not it. Put the ego in check, go ride, make sure you're not pushing yourself. 4 out of 5 days you're riding an 80-20, and just, I would be surprised if you don't progress inside of a 12 to 24 week program. This is Johnny F. and Hopper. Make sure you WFO that like button, hit that notification bell, and hang out for the live streams every Friday at noon. Bra-da-da-da-da-da-whoa.